Every week we do a Q&A with interesting and accomplished members of the adaptive community to find how they persevered, how they innovated, how they built communities, and how they found solutions. Welcome to the Nametags Chat Podcast. Welcome to the Nametags Chat Podcast. Today we have Monica Quimby, who was a member of the first World Championship women's sled hockey team, which was this summer. She's a coordinator at Backbones, a former professor. She does a lot of things. She actually broke her back. This is kind of amazing, in her 30th backflip of the day on skis. So 30, I guess, is not a lucky number for you, Monica. Welcome. Please, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Chris.
This is awesome. So this is a big deal, the sled hockey world championships, because sled hockey is a weird sport, right? In that it's a male sport, but there is an accommodation at the Paralympics that there is a slot for one woman to be on the team, to actually increase the size of the roster if a woman made the team, but it's never happened, right?
Correct. And there have been women that have been at that caliber that would be able to make that team. Both Erica and Kelsey, they're two of the women's team members right now, and they're incredible players, they're incredible forces. They both made the men's development teams and they never got pulled up to full roster, and they really should have.
How important then is this World Championships? I mean, one, you guys won, you beat Canada. It seems like this is the way that things go in hockey, Olympic, Paralympic, men, women, et cetera, et cetera. How important was this step in creating a potential slot in the Paralympics for the women on the para hockey side?
Yeah, this IPC sanctioned world was paramount. We needed to be able to have this sanctioned event so that we're able to move forward. We're able to, grow the game. That's the biggest thing right now, is to grow the game both nationally and internationally, so that we can have these fully formed teams, so we can have some great competition. We have had some informal world championships and world cups prior to this. We've had two of them, but this is the first one that has been official.
That is beneficial. What do you need to do? What are the hurdles that you need to jump before you can get to the Paralympic Games? Because it's a number of countries, right?
Correct.
Number of participants.
Yeah.
Is a certain number of years of competition, or how does it all work?
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now is we have to have at least 3 different countries represented in 8 full teams. So that is the biggest hurdle that we have right now, is developing those international teams. And so right now there's it's not a 4-year track, it's an 8-year track. But the exciting thing is we have a track now. That's the biggest thing, is that we're on that track. We have checked that first box and we're on our way.
3 countries, 8 teams. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So for instance, for the US, you could have
3 continents, 3 continents. I misspoke.
Oh, okay. 3 continents, 8 teams. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You were checking my math as we were going. I'm like, okay.
I'm sorry about that. I misspoke.
Okay. No, this is good. What was the competition like?
The competition was fantastic. I love that it was very much, everybody was coming together. It was a very inclusive vibe. We definitely made sure that we came and we rooted on the other teams. When there was Great Britain against Team World, we wanted to make sure that they knew that there were people in the stands that were supporting them. And that's what it's really about, is that support and showing that support to the other countries as well.
And you came out of this and said it's been 10 years worth of work, but that's not really 10 years worth of work to win, right? This is 10 years worth of work to get there, to get the opportunity. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, to get to that first step. So the team was created 13 years ago. And so it's definitely been a huge, what happened was our captain, Erica, her name was Mitchell, but now she's married to McKee. She's the one that created the team, because that spot you were talking about, she wasn't, given that spot, even though that was her spot. That was definitely hers, that she earned and that she should have been there. And so what they did is, basically said, okay, create your own team. And that's exactly what she did. And she was the one that, paved the way for the rest of us to really, get into the sport. And a lot of us play on co-ed teams. Sometimes they're co-ed because you're on it. That's a case in point with the team that my home team in Florida. And
Meaning
that's
that
the biggest
it's
thing.
all male except for you.
Correct. Yeah.
You are the co-ed component. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But definitely inviting more female players to come and play and see how great this game is. And it's a team sport. So there's nothing better than having that camaraderie and, having that community, that sense of community, as is huge when in the sport world.
It is. So you had been a skier in college. We found out that, had an accident doing backflips. So you're a good skier, and then went into para canoe first, right? So para canoe,
Yes.
and then came from, and we're trying to recruit people in para canoe from the hockey team, and then got recruited backwards. Is that how it works? That you were trying to recruit them and they recruited you?
I fell in love with hockey. I was like, oh, okay, it's full contact. Okay, this is a good time. This is a real sport, And to me, in my mind, a lot of the adaptive sports, I was having a hard time connecting to them, and going from being an athlete, an able-bodied athlete, into being a adaptive athlete was definitely a change. It was a complete life change. And the best thing though is that once an athlete, always an athlete. So if you know how to train, you know how to eat right, you know how to stay hydrated, those things can translate, which was the best part. Because I was like, okay, I know how to train. Now I just need to learn the different sports, and just diving headfirst in and going for it.
Can you describe what a sled is like? And obviously in Europe, they call it sledge hockey, right? So this is kind of the difference between bobsled and bobsleigh. Sometimes exactly the same thing, just a little different vernacular. But because looking at it, it's kind of interesting that somebody came up with the idea of like, this is what we're going to do, and then we can play hockey. It makes sense now that you see it. But initially, I would imagine it sounded a little crazy.
Absolutely. Because I'm like, okay, well, how does that work? Because, it's the biggest thing is that it's different from stand up is that you have two cut off hockey sticks with ice picks on the bottom. And that's, you have to be able to be ambidextrous. You have to be able to use both hands when you're carrying the puck, when you're shooting the puck. That's a huge challenge in itself. But then actually sitting in the sled, you're kind of in a bucket. It's similar to mono skiing when you're in that bucket and it's molded to you. And you have these two little blades that are underneath you that are between, if you're a beginner, it's more like 3 inches apart. And then if you're better, the more elite you go, it's like 2 inches, 1 inch, and then half an inch, and then they're practically touching. And so you're using a lot of that core strength. You really have to have that core strength and really strong shoulders in order to propel yourself on the ice.
Yeah, as your balance gets better, they get closer so that you can be more maneuverable. You can maneuver more quickly and then effectively be a better hockey player. Do you know the origin story of how this came about? Like, who decided to take these hockey blades and put them on the bottom effectively of a seat and say, okay, we're going to push with our hands? It kind of makes sense, but it also, I wonder sort of the first person who did it, like what it was like that you get in and go, okay, I feel like I'm going to go over to the left, over to the right, backwards, maybe not forwards as much. You might be okay that way, but there are like 3 different planes that you're going backwards and forwards. That it seems like it can be really hard. And especially if nobody's done it, if you don't see somebody who's doing it and thinking, okay, I see that they can do it. I'm not very good right now, but I see that they can do it. But if you get into the first time and think, this seems like a really bad idea. This seems like a good way to hurt myself. Have you heard any of the stories, any of the origin stories? Am I bringing you down a rabbit hole that is unfair?
No, that's okay. So the biggest thing that I do know from the beginning is that there were more people that were paralyzed, right? So it was a lot of more people from the spinal cord injury community that did this sport in the beginning. And now it's evolved, right? And now it's a lot of people that are amputees, because what happens is that with my bucket, for example, because I have a spinal cord injury, my legs go out in front of me, right? So I have a lot bigger turning radius. I have to really like get those legs around, and depending on you, if you're a complete or an incomplete injury, it also depends on how much, maneuverability you have. And so, and then people that are amputees, I mean, they can just turn on a dime. We have some players that they literally spin like a top. And so, that can be a huge advantage, because they can be a lot faster. That turning radius is quicker. And you'll notice both on the men's and the women's team that there's a lot of amputees that are on the team.
There are a lot of amputees, and this is different than like basketball or quad rugby, where you have a point system and you have a certain number of higher level, so higher, even higher level paraplegics that have to be on the court at a time in basketball, whereas in hockey, there's not a point system. So you can put all of your best players on the ice at the same time. Is that right?
Yes. The one rule for sled hockey is that you can't skate upright, right? So you have some type of, impingement to not be able to skate upright. And there's no ranking system or anything like that at this time. And so, yeah, you can be against somebody that, is a lot more mobile than you are. But yeah, you just got to work twice as hard, get it.
Work twice as hard and figure out those angles and be more strategic, possibly. Working twice as hard seems like something that comes pretty naturally to you. Can you tell us what what do you have for Post-its going on hanging around your house right now?
How did you know? Yes, I have a lot of Post-its. They're all over. And the biggest thing is that you have to have that. I'm really trying to push women in sport, women in adaptive sport. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm doing right now. And, that's the way that we're going to be able to grow the game, right? Both internationally and nationally. And I think that it's so important coming from, a female, a disabled athlete, because that's who you want to hear it from. That's who you want to, okay, like if she can do it, I can do it. And I love doing clinics. Like that's another big thing I love doing too. I do a lot of clinics in the state of Florida, and that's the best way is to get in a sled or to do the adaptive sport days. I really encourage people to go to those all adaptive sports days and try something. Just try something. You never know. And you're probably really going to enjoy it. You're going to have fun. One way or another, you're going to laugh, you're going to have fun, and you're going to meet a whole community of people that, are interconnected to a bunch of different things.
Now, are those all the same color Post-it? That you all the things that you mentioned, because it's basically promoting the sport, promoting women in the sport, getting started in the sport. Is that the same color? Because you have a 5-year plan, don't you, and broken down into Post-its?
I do. You're telling everybody in my world here. I love it though. That's great. I do. Yeah, I love my Post-it system. I definitely yellow is for work stuff, blue is for sport, and pink is for, so there's a system to it. And that's what I love it, because a Post-it, you can not only can cross it off, but you can crumple it up, you can throw it away. They're nice and bright and vibrant. They stick on things.
Where do you want to be in 5 years? What's the plan?
Definitely be an established motivational speaker in the works of starting to write a book, which is such a fun experience. I'm really enjoying that and diving right in, and really being able to bring my experiences of what I've done in life, in sport, in my career, etc., to really help other people, move forward, and to not see things like a spinal cord injury or even a divorce or anything like that is something that is a roadblock. It's something that might be, I call it the pause. So it might give you that pause, but it's also that time to reflect, decide where you want to go and move forward.
Well, and also 10 years to get, in some ways, to the first step of becoming a Paralympic sport too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal is to that gold medal on that podium with my ladies. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. That, you know, that's working towards that. Is it's already been such a fun journey in the last 8 years on the women's team, especially this last year. I can't wait to see where it goes. The talent that we have coming up is incredible. That is the best part. These young girls and women that are coming up that are making the sport even more fun, and they're faster. I mean, we have one girl, Madeline Gallagher. She was incredible, 15 years old, and she ended up getting a hat trick. I mean, that's what you want to see, right? That's exactly what you want when you want to grow the game. So it's very exciting.
And looking at it with an 8-year plan, how much of a challenge is it for somebody like you to then add 8 years to the current age and think, okay, we might be there. Can I still be there? Where do you see that, and what do you have to do in order to be there as part of the game?
You got to double down. You have to work twice as hard. That's what that's my thing, is that it's that grit, right? That grit, that heart. It's something that you gotta want it. I mean, I played on 4 different teams last year. I played on USA, Florida, Maryland team, and a Connecticut team, and in multiple leagues. And that's the thing, is you have to get on the ice. You have to get on the ice. You have to be on the ice with players that are better than you. That's really what pushes you forward, is, be on there with people from the women's team, from the men's team, from the men's development team. That's how you really become your best self.
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, we did, and I'm not saying this tongue in cheek by any means with the Post-its. I think it's a great thing. I mean, the sense of reminders and being organized in terms of and compartmentalized in some ways in terms of sport, business, et cetera, et cetera. How big a deal is journaling in your life, and what goes into a journal entry? If it's too personal, please don't tell us. But what goes into a journal entry?
Yeah, journaling is very important to me. I've done it ever since I was a kid. I was 6 or 7 years old when I started. It's definitely evolved now. It starts always. I do it in the morning. I have my coffee. I do my affirmations, and then I journal. I love to start with gratitude. You have to start with gratitude. It's 3 things I'm grateful for and something that I'm proud of that I did in the last 24 hours. I think that that's so important, is to give yourself that self-recognition. Like, I'm proud of myself for this, and this is what I need to work on. I put that in there as well, because I think it's really, really important to have that self-reflection. And sometimes I kind of just give myself try to write 3 pages, and sometimes I'll look up prompts, or I'll just let my mind go. And that's sometimes where I'll get like my best ideas and best projects and things to, create, that playing in nature and being creative and,
How much detail? I mean, you talk about 3 pages, right? So you go into a fair amount of detail, because it's easy enough sometimes to talk about something that you did that worked out well, that something that was good. But are you going into the smell, the feel, trying to be able to elicit, because the hope is that you can get back to that place, right? Later
absolutely.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
The more detail, the better. And that's the biggest thing, is that you want to be able to take yourself back to that moment. Like, I want to remember that moment of having them put a gold medal around your neck, feeling the cold metal against your chest, seeing it reflecting as they're raising the flag. And you're just, that elation, of pride and just representing your country is one of those feelings that I never want to forget. So yeah, that was definitely one of my most detailed ones. and just singing the national anthem with my teammates. We're all like crying. We're all like, just so excited. And we finally made it. And just that moment, it was incredible.
Did you think that you would ever have USA across your chest? Like as a kid?
Whew. You're like, so, the biggest thing was, as a little kid, if you're an athlete, you want to either go pro or you want to be on Team USA or both, right? So those are the ultimate goals. And you hear all these things as you're growing up, only 4% are going to make it, only this many are going to make it, that kind of thing. And there is no greater feeling than seeing a USA jersey hanging up in the locker room with your last name on the back and your number, and like I earned it, like it was all worth it, all of that was worth it, and everyone in that room, everyone in that locker room is part of that, and that's the biggest thing, is that we're all, as that team sport, we're all Team USA.
All Team USA, and obviously you went through a few twists and turns to get to the point where you had USA, you had that hanging on the wall. Your number 16?
Yes.
Is there significance in number 16 for you?
Yeah, 16 is, so my birthday was June 16th, and I've always picked that number. I've loved that number ever since I've been growing up. That's the one I would pick. And it's definitely, it's always been a lucky number for me.
So June 16th, am I right on this? That makes you a Gemini, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So these are the twins, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
So are you a twin? Do you have sort of your alter ego as well?
Yeah, I think we all do, right? We all have those two sides of being very introspective and quiet, and then there's that, external personality that you're showing to the world. So I feel like, I definitely have both of those for sure.
You definitely have both of those. Well, and I would imagine in some other parts of your life as well. So I was reading beforehand that you are the goon on the team, which is, a term of endearment really in hockey, right? So you're the goon, but you also were Miss Wheelchair Maine as well.
Yeah.
I mean, those sound like some twins to me.
Right there. Yeah. Yep. That's pretty much it. Yep. Definitely. The one that loves to check people and, push them out to the edge, and that's, I revel in being able to fulfill that role. That's really like a fun role for me. I love that on the team. And Miss Wheelchair. Yeah. So I started off, after I got paralyzed, I really wanted that sense of community. And before I got into adaptive sports, and realizing, this is definitely, the right fit for me, I tried the Miss Wheelchair America, and honestly, I met a lot of great people that are doing amazing things for advocacy, for the disabled community. And I think that was the biggest thing that opened my eyes, that, okay, like I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. There are other females that are, they're having jobs, and they have families, and they're getting degrees, and they're people of their community. And that was what I was like, wow, this is really something that I want to aspire to and to continue to grow.
How does that pageant work? Is it the same as what we see, like the Miss America kind of thing on television? Is it the same kind of thing? Is it not? How does it work?
No.
And how did you get into it? I mean, I heard what it did for you, but yeah. I mean, was this an advertisement in the newspaper, or was it on the bulletin board at the PT, or how did it work?
Found it on social media. I found it on Facebook, in one of the social groups at the time. And I wanted to meet people. I got to meet people all over the country. So that was the great thing, is that I got to instantly have this great group of people and all these connections all over the country. And I'm still really close with a lot of them. And they have followed my endeavors, and I have followed theirs. I've even hired them to do projects with me and stuff like that. It's been really fun. And it's mostly based on your advocacy. So it's your advocacy, it's your achievements. It's more achievement based. It's not on the, you know, the typical beauty pageant, like you have to be pretty. It's not like that at all. It's more of what you can do and instead of what you look like.
Instead of what you look like. So there's not the swimsuit, there's not the
No,
talent, I'm just imagining, I'm just trying to
that's
see how
great.
these how this thing works, because I
Right.
didn't know all that much
I will not
about
be
it.
singing. We'll put it that way.
What's that?
Karaoke. I said I will not be singing. Maybe karaoke, but no, that would not be my chosen talent. I'm good.
I share that one with you. I would have to go to the lip sync, I think, if it were, I'm not sure what I would have for a talent if I needed a talent. So juggling, I don't know. I don't think I'm that good a juggler though. So, anyway,
Right. We should just stick
you
to sports, I think.
stick to sports. Well, I mean,
Right.
sticking to sports is kind of an interesting thing though, too, because
Yeah.
you went through school,
Mhm.
molecular biology.
Yeah, so molecular cellular and developmental biology. I specialized in genetics and I minored in biochemistry.
So it doesn't sound like you don't have any options, is what I'm saying. It's not, I mean,
True.
that's oh, I'll just go into sports, but it does sound like, because then you were a professor twice over, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I also did research. That was one of the great things, is that after I got paralyzed, I was able to go back and I continued my research. I did strawberry genetics. I actually ended up getting published,
Why did
helping
you do
discover.
strawberry genetics? This is an important question.
I chose strawberry genetics because I started picking strawberries when I was 14 as a kid. And that was my first job. I found it in the newspaper. I was so proud of myself. I circled it. I told my mom, I need to go here. And yeah, that was my first job. And it was 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week in the summer. And it was brutal, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about perseverance and working hard. And because I was able to tell the difference between the different species of strawberries when I was making up a biology lab,
So
that
this is
was
back when
actually
you were
when.
14? You were able to tell the
No,
different species?
so
No.
at the University of New Hampshire, I was making up a biology lab because I had missed one. I'm pretty sure because of skiing. And right.
Yeah.
And so I was able to tell the difference between the different plants because of the venation. So like the way that the veins look on the leaves, and because it hadn't had any fruit or flower yet. And it really impressed the, biology professor at the time, and asked me if I wanted to start working in the greenhouse. So I started working in the greenhouse and then moved up into doing the genetics of it and mitochondrial DNA. And yeah, then my published paper was from the fields to the molecules. So tied it up with a nice little bow.
Where does that lead you? Where does that kind of research in strawberries lead you typically? Does that lead you into the food industry, into the farming industry, into more research, or how does it work?
Yeah, so the great thing about genetics is plants, animals, people even, genetics is very universal. So you can go in a lot of different directions with that background. What I was doing specifically was helping create a disease-resistant strawberry. And so I would probably more go agricultural. You can go, the chemistry route, or, there's multiple options for sure.
Multiple options. So which sounds like it's pretty similar to what you've done, where you've been leaving college, being a professor, going into canoeing, going into hockey. Is hockey something that captures all of who you are, as an advocate, as an athlete? And when did you realize that hockey was doing that?
Wow, that's a great question. So hockey, it captured my heart. It captured the essence of who I am. And I absolutely love working with kids. So I do a lot of clinics with pediatric hospitals, wheelchair for kids. Like that's a organization that's near and dear to my heart. And that brings me so much joy. So much joy. Like helping those younger kids like come up, those younger athletes, from barely wanting to leave their parents' side to joining us in a team and trusting us and really, you know, becoming part of something. That's where I got the bug for it at first. And then I love competitive sports. So I was super excited that they're like, okay, the ceiling is here. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. So that was, you know, it was very exciting, and having this platform to also, you know, for women in sports, it's very all encompassing. And I love that I can be a teacher. I can still be a teacher, a professor in a different way, by helping the younger generation, and to also, you know, getting the word out for more women in adaptive sports. So,
do you have any heroes in this pursuit? I mean, we've seen a lot of like women's sport come into the forefront. Do you look at any in particular and say, I want to model what we're doing after what they're doing, what they did?
I can't say it enough, but Erica, she's our captain, and she's the backbone of the team. She is the person that she is a leader, true and true. She is the one that, you know, and I'm proud to call her one of my best friends as well. You know, I've gotten incredibly close with her, and that it's a sisterhood, you know, and I love that she is the leader that is always putting us in the right direction. She is always helping people out. She's just an incredible person. And yeah, she's definitely the person that I'm so glad that she's the captain of this team, and she'll always be the captain of this team. So
Interesting. So looking within the team, as opposed to like, you know, the women's soccer team, you know, like the Mia Hams, the Julie Foudies, the Megan Rapinoe, you know, these kinds of people,
yeah.
you know, but, and also looking at like the women's, you know, like the Olympic hockey team as well. I mean, there've been some fairly prominent teams. Do you gain any inspiration from what they've done? And then also, is there a sense of solidarity as well?
I think the biggest thing too is to watch hockey. You know, watch hockey. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, pro hockey, if it's sled hockey, you need to watch hockey. You need to watch the game. And actually, like, my favorite to watch is college. Like college or right before college, you know, that U18, that U22, that group right there, that's like, they want it so bad. And like, they're so fun to watch because they are, you know, they have that grit. They definitely are putting in that extra time, the extra work. And that's how you're going to learn the different systems. That's how you're going to learn the game. That's how you're going to learn to get better, is not only by playing hockey and giving it your all in practice and in the game, but watching hockey as well. You have to know the game.
You definitely have to know the game. And how did you learn the game? Because you didn't grow up as a hockey player. Did you grow up watching hockey?
So I grew up in Maine. I grew up in New England. So hockey is in your blood. And I went to UNH, and UNH Wildcats, like, that's definitely, you know, hockey East, you know, like the Frozen Four, you know. So I've definitely grew up watching hockey, and that was the big thing. And yeah, I just had to get on the ice and play.
Did that translate to playing in a sled? Is it the same kind of game? And is it the same kind of speed or a similar kind of speed?
So the speed is a little bit different because we're pushing with our arms instead of with our legs, right? So it's definitely, but you know, there's definitely people that are comparable that are really fast. And I think that that's one of the big things, is that the sled equalizes everybody, right? So if you're sitting in a sled and you're propelling with your arms, that means everybody you're literally, even if you're able-bodied, you can try this sport, because you're all going to be on an equal, you're going to know how it feels, because you're sitting in a sled, you have your hockey sticks with the ice picks on the bottom, and you're propelling yourself. And so that, I think that's what's really cool when families come out or their friends come to join, because they actually get to do it with them, you know. It's not, I'm in a sled and you're standing up. It's like, we're all in sleds and we're all learning and we're laughing and we're having fun. And that's the best part about it.
As the goon on the team, I'm assuming there's not a lot of fighting going on, but the hitting part can be far more painful in a sled than as the standing athlete, because the boards will flex, though being lower means that you're getting hit into the boards at a point where it really doesn't flex, where it's a whole lot more solid. What does that feel like?
It hurts. It hurts a lot. I've actually broken the same foot 3 times because the boards do not move at all. You know, and it's a very physical game. So, I mean, there's people that, you know, and the ice picks are super sharp. So you slice up hands, and that's why you really got to make sure you wear a neck guard, because that can happen. And, you know, that I've seen someone like break their clavicle. Like, it's definitely, you know, a full contact sport. So, I mean, but that's what's great about it, is that it's the exact same rules as stand-up hockey. So when you're watching it, you're watching hockey, right? So like, that's the coolest thing, is that you're watching hockey. The only difference is that there's T-boning. So that's where you take the nose of the sled and you're running it either into the side or into the back of another player. And you can't do that, because that can, you know, severely injure the other player. And, you know, that's the only one that's different. So
it's shoulder to shoulder, but not using the sled as an implement to hurt someone.
Right. Yeah. So you're going to be checking right into them, shoulder to shoulder. You can get right in there. And that's the thing, is that, you know, keep fighting for the puck until the whistle blows. You got to just keep going. And it's so high energy, and it's so much fun, and the shifts are really quick. So not only do you have to have that longevity to get through the 45 minutes, the hour, you know, you also have to be able to do those super quick shifts. So you have to be able to do that 45-second to a minute 30. And as a sprint, you need to be able to sprint and have endurance and have the physicality. So I think it's a fantastic sport. And, you know, there's a multitude of different things that are components to make you the best player.
What about the skill, the aesthetic of the sport? How does this work? Like the passing, the movement, the weave, the this, the that, you know, I mean, it's like, how much are you getting and experiencing, and how much have you seen the sport, the women's sport, progress from a handful of people at tryouts for the U.S. women's team to like 60 people at the tryouts?
It's incredible now. I mean, that's the thing, is that there's so much competition. It's so fast, and you really have to have that agility, that skill, and the communication. I think the biggest thing too is that we had a Maine camp this summer. One of my teammates, Gardner, she put it on. She did an incredible job, and it was really amazing, because we all got to stay in a lake house together, and we bonded. There were 12 girls in a lake house, so with one bathroom. So right. But no, honestly, like, that's how we were able to bond so closely. We had 2-a-days every day. We were, you know, really getting super close and singing songs. And it's that communication. It's making sure that you have not only that skill individually, and it's that communication. That's the biggest thing, is having that chemistry, that communication with your teammates. That's what really makes you can tell how well we work together when we were playing those gold medal games.
What do you mean by the communication? What kind of communication? Is this in terms of location, of where you are, what's going, and are you the talker on the ice, or is everybody talking, or how does that work?
Yeah, everybody is talking. I'm very loud. So I'm like, did you hear me? Oh yeah, we heard you. So that's the biggest thing, is that everybody is really making sure that they're yelling for the puck, that they're getting into open ice, that we're cycling. I mean, we're able to really read each other at this point, and really kind of know where you're going to go before you go there. And that is one of those things that is incredible when you get to that level on a team.
Talking about the communication and the community that you have, and I think that there's a real sense of ownership, right? Of this is your sport, this is the direction that you want to go, you want to be in the Paralympics. What kind of coaching do you have?
Basically, the coaching that we have is very, I've had intense coaches. When I first started, it was very intense. It was very much old school. And if you know what I mean by old school, it's, do another 3 laps, do another 3 laps, and like, you would just keep going till you basically throw up, right? And I think that there's definitely a place for that, especially in the beginning, because it taught me that endurance early on. And now we definitely have, it's more of a finesse, right? And everybody is, the coaches are incredible. I can't say better things about our coaches. Our staff is insane, and they just really, they help us out. They're able, you feel like they're approachable. I think that's the biggest thing, right? That you're like, hey coach, I really want to work on this. What do you think I need to do? And I think that that's huge, is being able to have that open dialogue and really to improve individually for the whole.
Where did they come from? Where did the coaches come from?
Minnesota. I had to.
But like from the college ranks, from the pro ranks, from the
college. Yep.
So they've been coaching in college. And how do you guys get connected with a coach? Did you have to, because this is the first time really being under the Paralympic umbrella, right? So you were on your own. I mean, this sounds like bake sales and car washes and that kind of thing to get to the competition. How were you able to recruit coaches as well?
5 years ago is when we got under the USA Hockey umbrella. So that was really our, if you want to kind of say like 1A was under the USA Hockey umbrella, 1B was being able to have this IPC sanctioned worlds. Because being under the umbrella, as you know, that definitely changes things. It changes the whole infrastructure, and it honestly, like, not only legitimizes it, but it, we're part of USA Hockey. Like that's such a proud feeling. Like, I love wearing this on my chest, and that, don't get me wrong, totally grateful for the beginning and for the start, because without that private funding, without the TOMs literally giving us our start, that, we wouldn't even be here today. So, I understand that because of the TOMs, we were able to make it to USA Hockey. And
because
now that
of the
we're
TOMs,
on USA
is
Hockey,
that what you said?
Tom Brake and Tom Kessler, they were like paramount in getting the USA Hockey women's team up and running.
In what respect? What did they do? How did they do it?
They were the ones that were able to get that private and public funding. They were the ones that were able to get us the camps, once a month, and for us to meet from all over the country and to come together and to play. We were able to go to Norway and Czech Republic during that time period as well. So really, like, building that international presence. And so, I think that COVID did kind of like bring us back a little bit, but it's kind of two steps back, and then we're going to keep moving forward.
What is forward? What you've had the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
What is forward? Will you have, what kind of a season will you, I mean, you played the World Championships during the summertime.
Right.
Hockey is generally a winter sport.
Correct.
Do you go back into a winter cycle? Will there be, will you be able to have a schedule? Is it a tournament? What do you look forward to? Because I'm assuming you'll continue to play on co-ed teams as well, but on the women's side, what do you look forward to?
During the year, most of us play on our state team. So on like a Florida team, for example, and I'm playing for Tampa. And then there's also league play. So there's different leagues. So the Southeast League is what I'll also be in this year. And then for the USA on the women's team is we meet up once a month and we all get together in a different part of the country and we all practice together. And we'll probably, I think we're looking forward to also potentially having a game with Canada, either up there or down here. That's something that we've done before. We've done a series like that as well to get prepared, and look forward to Worlds again. And they might be editing that format. When we had Worlds before, we've had before it was IPC sanctioned, they were at the end of the season, which is in May. So nationals is in April, and then we would have the Worlds in May, and then the tryouts in July, et cetera, et cetera. This year, the August dates worked best for the international teams. So that's why we went in that direction for the first year.
Okay, which makes perfect sense. And is it hard to maintain that sense of camaraderie? I mean, you guys have spent 12 women in a lake house with one bathroom, but is it hard to maintain that sense of timing, that sense of continuity on the ice when you kind of go your separate ways and then come back, or is it ingrained in you?
Oh, there's a group chat, Chris.
Oh,
You know, there's a group
okay.
chat. So, you know, that's the great thing, is that we're in the group chat. We're all, you know, if it's your birthday, we're saying happy birthday. We're sharing our successes. We're talking about our hockey teams. You know, that's the really big thing, is that we stay connected. And I think that that's really what's important.
It is important because you're fighting a battle on a couple of different fronts right now. I mean, the battle for recognition, and then the battle for competition as well. And the first one is generally harder than the second one, but if you do the first one, you'd really better do the second one as well.
Absolutely.
You got to show up to compete once you get there. What you talked about some of the age range. What is the age range? Because you had that one, do we call her a woman? I mean, she's on the women's team, but she was 15. So I don't know, are you a woman at 15, or does that happen at 18? When does that happen? Or once you make the team, does it happen?
Right. So she was 14 turning 15. So she was, so that was like pretty much the youngest age. I mean, you can still come to the camp. We encourage people to come out and to come to the camp and to meet the other girls and women. And definitely we treat the tryout more as like a camp, so that you can really come, you can, you know, see the level of competition for the sport, to come out, to see what to work towards. You know, that's really one of our biggest things, is that we want it to be inviting. We don't want it to be, you know, closed off or anything like that. We want people to come and check it out. I think that's what's really important. And we've had, so it's pretty much 14, 15 to the 40s right now. We've even had a player, when in the beginning, she was in her 60s, our old goalie. So yeah, it's definitely evolved. It's evolved a lot in the last 8 years that I've been on the team, and since it started. And
I'm assuming that hockey is the thing that brings you together, that bridges the age gap from 15 to 60. How many other things do you share in common? Movies, music, food, those kinds of things. Do you guys get along? Are you sharing stuff with the 15-year-olds? Are you learning on what's hip, and is it making you cooler that you actually know what's hip and happening right now?
Right. So, you know, Instagram, Snapchat, you're going to be in the know. But you know, what's great is that it doesn't matter what age you are. We are always able to sing in the locker room. That's like our biggest connecting factor, is that once the Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus is on, or any of those, you know, Bulletproof is another one that we love to sing. You know, that's really where we, you know, shine. Like, that's where the age doesn't matter. You know, we're all in it together. We're singing at the top of our lungs. We're having a good time. And, you know, that's the big thing. And I think that we all are really willing to help each other too. Like, it doesn't matter. I've helped some of the girls with their homework before, you know, and I think that that's one of the big things, is that we are all on a team. We're all part of a team, both on and off the ice.
I think that makes sense. We actually did get a message from Cody Bauman. Go Bestie.
Yay. Hi, Cody.
Lots of hearts. Aaron McKenzie Mower. Love you, little sis. Is that
Oh yeah, we grew up next to each other. Good to see you.
and then Bruce Albiston, with whom I had a conversation earlier this week from Maine. So happy to see you, Monica, and Nadia Quimby.
Nadia, yep. My mom.
Nadia.
Yeah.
Yes, is sending you hearts and a flexing bicep and a smiley face and some more hearts and an American flag. So
yeah.
And I think so cute. It's actually so code right now, but I think it means cute. I think unless there's something that I'm just not, I don't even know some of the references to some of the songs that you're talking about. So I would not do. It's the reason why I've not been invited to join the team, I'm assuming.
Come on, Chris. We'll get you in on karaoke. Let's go.
Get me on. Yeah, you don't want to get me on karaoke. That is definitely for sure. So let's get you out on what are you doing off the ice physically to prepare to be run into the boards where they don't flex, to increase your speed, which is always speed is the biggest determining factor in success in sport, in the vast majority of sports, right? So what are you doing off the ice to make that all happen?
So the biggest thing is I like to vary my cardio. So not only am I going to stick and pucks and I'm going to practice, but I also like to do
stick and pucks. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So stick and puck is it's where you go and it's people go and they pay $10 or $20 to go on the ice with other players, and it's like a recreational intramural kind of ice time. So they give you an ice time and you just go and play. And if you get a couple of sled hockey players together, they're usually pretty nice. They'll give you like a quarter or half sheet, so we can kind of do our own little practice. So
like your skills, skills stuff kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And then I definitely I like doing boxing. That's one of the big things. I do boxing. I do a HIIT class.
So this is leading right into the goon part of your role.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely, that you got to be ready for that full contact sport. And I think it's really important to vary that cardio, because like I said, you need to be able to have that endurance and you need to have that sprinting. So you really need to have that, the different varying. Playing on multiple teams definitely helps for sure. And mixing it up in the gym. You got to do that weight training. You have to pick things up and put them down.
And what kind of weight training specifically are you doing? Are you looking to put on some muscle? Is it explosive muscle that you're really looking to cultivate? How does that work?
Explosive muscle, absolutely. That's the number one, is really being able to go from either you're getting the puck or you're stopping or you're turning and being able to just shoot right out. And that's one of the biggest things, is being able to have that dynamic part of being able to really drive into the ice and like move forward.
Which is a big deal. And we got Diane S. Bryan, who said, "Go Monica, love you." And I have to back up because I totally misread. It was Sue Cote or Cody who said, "Awesome Monica," and I misread that. So Sue, I am very sorry. I can't read apparently. But anyway, all good. Well, this is when will people be able to see you? Where will they be able to see you? How can they get to a game?
Yeah, so we definitely will be, again, we'll be in Worlds, and a lot of the different rinks have live barn, they have live streaming. So that's usually how we end up sharing it, is depending on what the rink has and also what the coverage is. That's what we usually are sharing between Hockey TV, Live Barn. There are different streaming platforms and services at the rinks themselves.
And so are you sharing this on your social media platforms to alert your audience as to where they can see you?
Yeah, absolutely. And making sure to put all the times and the dates and all of that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's really exciting. And if you can get to a game, it's fantastic. It's worth watching.
Is there anything you're targeting this year that that you'd want to say to people, if you get a chance, get to this game? Is it the one with Canada, or what would be the one that
Always.
you'd say?
Yeah, Team USA versus Canada. I mean, when anybody in the hockey world knows that that's the biggest rivalry. It doesn't matter if you're on the women's or the men's team, you're playing upright or sled. That's the game you want to watch. That's always the best rivalry.
And do you know where that game will be?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. There's always a teaser, isn't there? Okay.
You got to.
Well, this is good. Anything else you want to tell your public?
I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to come on, Chris. This has been fantastic, and really not only sharing the love of the sport and the game, and really getting the word out there. That's what's really important. And to try all those adaptive sports, as you know, I mean, it's just changed my life. And it's helped me become a better leader. It's helped me become better at work. It's helped me become better for family and friends, my community. So definitely think about getting those adaptive sports, either competitively or even recreationally, because it's fun. Getting outside is fun.
Well, it's fun, and it leads to your fitness and makes your everyday life a little bit easier too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it even helps with transfers. It helps with everything. So it really is important to stay active, especially when we have spinal cord injuries, because we're, sitting all day. We gotta make sure that we're moving. We gotta make sure that we're staying in shape.
Make sure that, yeah, I feel like we don't have the luxury of really getting out of shape, because we have to lift ourselves with our arms. So that gets to be a whole lot harder when that strength to weight ratio goes in the wrong direction. So let's try to keep it going in the right direction. Monica, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and good luck both with the with the battle to get into the Paralympics and to be on top of your game as far as competition.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you. And good luck. And thank you to all of you. We really appreciate you tuning in. The greatest gift you can give us is to tell your friends. Tell your friends to tune in. Tell them that this was a great podcast that you watched. We'll have another great one next week. It will be a traditional podcast, so keep your eyes out for the Nametags Chat podcast, and we will look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you all. Take care.